A huge upgrade at center has come for the Seattle Seahawks as they signed Connor Williams to a one-year $6 million deal with $3 million guaranteed. And he is that good. And you might not see that based on the contract, so let me give you some backstory if you don't know anything about Connor Williams. Connor Williams has played for the Cowboys and the Dolphins and has been a phenomenal offensive lineman in his career. What happened last year is that he tore his ACL. He was in line for one of those big mega deals for a center, but tearing his ACL pretty much got him off the table on one of those major deals, and now he's getting a prove-it deal with the Seattle Seahawks. And the good news here is he's going to be ready by week 1. The other good news is if he starts to do well and he stays healthy, the Seahawks probably have their center for the next few seasons. And I think some of the best things to look at is let's look at some of the PFF grades, and I'll get to other positions and what he is as a total offensive lineman. But this is a phenomenal pickup. If we look at our situation with Nick Harris and Olusegun Oluwatimi, they thought Olusegun would be that guy last year when they drafted him, and it's been 2 years in the works, and it just hasn't been what they thought it was. And there's been an open competition between Olu and Nick Harris, and the Seahawks have been putting out positive words, obviously, every day because they know that this is probably their weakest spot on the offensive line, but they're saying they're both getting better. It's a good position fight right now and all those things. But it's pretty clear that neither guy has stood out, and signing somebody like Connor Williams and getting a legitimate center that's right there up the middle, helping protect Gino Smith, helping in the run blocking game is going to change this offensive line, and that's what they did. Among centers last year, he had the number 2 run blocking game and the number 2 overall PFF grade for centers. So we're talking about a top 5 center in this league and a top 2 center when it comes to the run blocking game, which is pretty amazing to see. And as I see this Brian Nemhauser, I think it's Hawk Blogger here on YouTube tweet, he's one of the best centers in football, but he's also the second best run blocker of any offensive lineman last year behind Penei Sewell. The second best run blocking offensive lineman after Penei Sewell last year. He was ahead of Trent Williams. And as Brian says, imagine adding Trent Williams blocking to the middle of your offensive line. There's no better option if you ask me. And overall, he was number 7 in pass protection among centers. Number 2 in run protection, number 2 overall among centers. It's absolutely a steal at this price if he does stay healthy. And he's kind of gotten better every single year. He was in 2020 the 13th best PFF grade for centers out of qualified centers. 2021 he was 10th, and then 4th in 2022, and then last year at 2nd in 2023. Obviously last year we don't know how it was shaped out if maybe he was healthy the entire season. But in his time playing, and he qualified to be on the list because he had enough snaps, he would have been the second best center in all of football and the number 2 in run blocking, number 7 in pass blocking. So there's a couple great things behind this. One is obviously this entire offensive line is improved, right? And I think that's where I'm going to start before I get to the other reasons is they're doing whatever they can, even if some of it was, shifting and making little moves, they did do it. With Connor Williams, if he's healthy, and you add a healthy Abraham Lucas, that's already just an enormous upgrade compared to the center position we had last year and all the injuries we had from Abe Lucas last year. On top of that, Christian Haynes from the draft, Charles Cross is going to be is just good. He's good. He's going to be good again this year. Laken Tomlinson, Anthony Bradford, George Fant coming in. A lot of upgrades at that line and a lot of backups. Like, George Fant can be there if something happens to Abe Lucas. We'll probably, I'm assuming Nick Harris might get waived or released at some point, and Olusegun will be the backup center to Connor Williams if necessary. But this offensive line is getting more stacked and bringing in more pieces and have the ability to deal with a little bit of injuries. Now, obviously, if Connor Williams gets hurt for a long time, or Abe Lucas or Charles Cross, just like any other offensive line, it's going to hurt. It's going to kill us if your best players are hurt. But the way they shaped this line, it's ready to be the best line we've seen in quite some time. And he's going to be the best center we've had since Max Unger, 5-6 years ago when he was in his prime. So what does that do? Obviously, the run game is going to be better. We all know that. But the biggest thing for me is Gino Smith. Gino Smith if he can get back to 2022 Geno Smith, and I think the best possible way for that to happen, or for him to get better than 2022 Geno Smith, would be with an offensive line making huge upgrades. I want him to have more than 1.3 seconds to throw the ball. There is so many times in the last 2 quarterback eras we've had with Russell Wilson and Geno Smith where you feel like it's ready, set, boom, ball's hiked, and it's like 1, 2, oh, they're running around. Oh, somebody's pressuring him. Oh, there's no time. Throw it away. Oh, he's doing a spin move trying to get out of this. Oh, he's hit. If you can get this protection where Geno is fully protected, on top of already, think about it, on top of already having this offensive line that's going to improve the run game and having a top 10 running back in Kenneth Walker, you add the element of Geno Smith getting more time in protection. First of all, the offense gets less predictable. And secondly, Geno Smith will have time to work with these weapons, with Noah Fant and Farrell Brown at tight end and other pieces we picked up, like AJ Barner's going to be there. Like there's pieces. And you have Jake Bobo and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And you have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet out of the backfield. And maybe, you never know. It looks like Kenny McIntosh is doing okay. He's kind of a fringe player in camp, it sounds like. But you got good talent out of the backfield too. That's a lot of weapons for a guy like Geno Smith. And we've seen him produce it when he did in 2022. In 2022, you had a healthy, Abe Lucas, healthy Charles Cross. You got a lot of good pieces. Damian Lewis was there, who's moved on, I think, to the Panthers now. But with these upgrades, if this line can be decent, we might get that 2022 Geno Smith back instead of, a 2023 Geno, who wasn't bad, but wasn't as good as that previous version. So we all know, if you watch my channel, there's a pretty obvious thing that, I like is the interior. I talked about it when we re-signed Leonard Williams, and I'm telling you, if Mike Morris is healthy and you have Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed, and you have, like, coming off the edges, the outside linebacker sides of, like, Boye Mafe and Uchenna Nwasu, when you're building kind of interior and then start building out, the team's going to be good. That in the trenches, the offensive line, the defensive line, the pressure, that's where I care about the most, is bringing pressure and alleviating pressure on the other side. Alleviating pressure for the quarterback and bringing pressure to the quarterback. Because the rest of it will work out. If Geno Smith, if they alleviate some pressure, I told you the weapons he has. You know the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs he has. And you know how this success could go. On the defensive side, it's the same thing. If you bring pressure to the quarterback, we know the other pieces we have around there. We have an NFL top 100 player at safety in Julian Love. We have an NFL top 100 player at corner in Tariq Woolen, and should be Devin Witherspoon as well. And Trey Brown's there. He shouldn't be an NFL top 100, but he is, from all counts, is doing good at camp, and he's a good piece to have as well. So you have, once that interior is set, offensively, you have the outside pieces to work. Defensively, you have the outside pieces to work. The biggest question back's obviously linebacker, I think, right now on the defensive side. But the whole point is interior than out. That interior on both sides now is looking like it's a lot better, especially when you have a coach like Mike McDonald. He's used to this Ravens type of culture right now where that defense is nasty. The offense protects Lamar. It's a grit and grind type of team. Forget just grit and grind type of team. Mike McDonald comes from the Ravens. The Ravens, that division with those teams, the Ravens, the Steelers way, is just grit and grind, less mistakes, hard-nosed football, and I think that's what he's trying to build in Seattle. They're all saying camp's been chippier. There's been fights at camp. Somebody like me loves that. I want a chippy culture. That's what the Seahawks had when they won the Super Bowl. The 2012, 13, 14, 15 Seahawks, when they were winning, the defense didn't even like Russell Wilson when they won a Super Bowl because it was chippy. That wasn't, we're an offense and defensive team together in practice. It's us versus them. Offense versus defense, defense versus offense in practice. And it feels like Mike McDonald's building that culture now here. And I think having upgrades on the defensive line like we did and the upgrades on the offensive line now, bringing in Connor Williams is a humongous deal to get back to interior before we get to the exterior and building that grit and grind, hard-nosed football in Seattle. So I love this move. We have a top 5 center if he's healthy, and that's going to change the run game, the pass game, change it all. This is really exciting to see. I will see how else this line shapes up. There's going to be some moves. Nick Harris will probably release, is my guess. I know I said that earlier in the video, but I'm not 100% sure, but that is my guess. I'm excited to see how it all plays out. Seahawks football is almost fully back. It's August 6th right now. September 8th is the first game, so we're like 32 days away from Seahawks football, and they're making one of the biggest possible moves you can make, bolstering up that offensive line, bolstering up the center position, an important position for Gino Smith for that whole offensive line. A guy who blocks like Penei Sewell, like Trent Williams, like Frank Ragnow. This guy is legit when healthy, and we might have just helped really turn our offensive line into a above average from being a really below average line last year. We are starting to build up the right way, and that's all that matters. I'm excited. Let me know how you feel in the comments, and we'll be back shortly. Make sure you check out Seattle on Tap. It's in the description. Our podcast will be coming out with an episode tomorrow, so make sure you check out that channel for all Seattle things. There's Seahawks, Mariners, all that. And just look at the links in the description if you want to support me. I also have a channel called Stuff with Sammy, which is a little bit about my life and my lifestyle. So check that out too if you want to support. I love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Peace.